Hey everybody and welcome to a new One Piece video. I'm liking the trend of the previews for big episodes not showing the big stuff. It made me severely underestimate how good this episode and last one will be. I saw the staff list before watching the episode, so the moment I saw the name Nozomu Shishido, I expected no less from this episode. Egghead's best director. The director who kicked off the arc with his incredible episode 1089 and then gave us the best action episode 1100, the phenomenal 1115, and then 1128 in Egghead Part 2, and now 1152. This might be the largest gap yet for Shishido's episodes, 24 episode gap. At some point I was worried that he left the team, but turns out he was cooking this meal right here. This time Shishido is paired with the two well-known Chinese animation directors, Tu Young-soo and Hizaiwe, and to me this felt like the true return of Tu Young-soo. Don't get me wrong, his work in Egghead was good, but it didn't feel like his Wano days until here. So without wasting time, let's break down this episode. The first half is mostly the Clover flashback. I loved that Shishido used the same vintage film filter for it, like Koyama did with the Kuma flashback climax. There's nothing crazy here, but the lack of music for most part is effective in setting the serious tone. In the Atlas section, we get one of Shishido's classic dialogue visuals, where everyone is drawn in a distinct way, kind of like he did before with the Gorosei. One of Shishido's greatest qualities is his action storyboard, and we immediately see that when the Emeth action starts, as he takes the scale to another level, with a very distant shot that makes him look small compared to the Gorosei Haki. During the Atlas moment, we get a moment of slow silence as she separates Nazjuro from the others. Don't know if it worked for me personally, but it's better than nothing. Now the second half is pure madness. A very dynamic action storyboard that proceeds for Emeth and Gorosei with ridiculous scale. Whether it's the distant shots or the close-ups on the legs, it emphasizes insane scale in every way. But perhaps the best storyboarded section in the episode for me personally is Bonney's transformation. Shishido is just the best at transformation sequences. He proved it in episode 1100 with how creative he made Gear 5 with Luffy beating his chest like a drum. Now here he even surpasses that. Rotations, then gradual body growth on Bonney with the effects serving as a transitional tool. Bonney has a clear target and Shishido effectively shows that with his angles. Shishido continues to prove that he's an action genius as he utilizes Saturn's spider legs for some extremely fast-paced action, which was very damn dynamic here. With the way Luffy and Bonney were dodging, sliding, flipping around, it's so amazing. I never imagined such basic panels of straightforward action in the manga to be turned to something like this. Shishido's true directorial skills shine in this section right here. The small what if of those three living a happy life. Something taken away by Saturn, which builds up the emotions for the final but not so final attack. This atmosphere and colors here are just heavenly, and the isolated shots of Bonney vs Saturn is just peak cinema. While Luffy prepares to attack from the distance with a creative drum sound for the attack preparation. The soundtrack chosen here is Luffy vs Kaido finale, but here proceeds further like an extended version. So I think it removed the repetitiveness a bit, considering both are Big Punch by the same animator, Nozomu Shishido. What an incredible director you are. But such results wouldn't be possible without assembling an elite team. The Chinese duo proved further that their episodes are some of the most polished in the whole series. I've spoken about them in 1061, 1112, 1137, and now this. Especially Tu Young says he channeled a variety of art styles, like some of the loose lines similarly to Ota's style, but also his inky and gritty approach from the Wano days. It's just a perfect blend here. Before I get into the key animation, I want to highlight a very crucial aspect in the episode's success, which is the photography work. Tsuyoshi Ishizu handled the Bonney transformation and gave it an incredible cinematic feel, and then Naoyuki Wara, the director of photography, surpassed himself further and gave us his best work yet. It gets obvious when you look at his work on the original Gear 5 debut, and here, while his work there is amazing, here it feels a bit different. It's too heavenly. This level simply rarely exists in the anime industry nowadays. Now let's get into the key animation. Going off from last stacked episode to this superbly stacked episode was a treat. Shinnosuke Tanaka finally makes his return. He handled a big chunk of the Emeth versus the Gorosei section, and holy peak, man. He initially gave us the Saturn first introduction and then did brief animation on 1137, but the way he moved these creatures against Emeth is just insanity. Incredible control of weight. One of my favorite cuts that he's done is when Emeth clashes with Warkuri and then Jupiter suddenly appears and tilts his face to bite Emeth. The first cut heavily reminded me of Arifumi Imai's work on the Naruto movie. It's slow, weighty, and simply brilliant. I also love how he's moving the background here, like the trees and the battleground. It adds so much to the sense of destruction between these giants. He also did the parts of Emeth throwing Jupiter away, and my god, these close-ups are just beautiful. Tanaka's close-ups have always been impressive, as we've seen in prior scenes in Egghead. French animator Mehdi finally returns. He worked many times in Egghead Part 1 with Vegapunk introduction, Kid vs. Shanks, and more. He's a very impressive animator. His absence was felt in Egghead Part 2. I believe he was busy on My Hero and few other shows, and he outdid himself here. Incredible effects work, incredible fabric, hair animation, also tasteful background animation and wind effects. I love those inky circles in the wind. The other standout Emeth action cut was presumably by Bahei JD. Love his camera work here, and it reminds me of his debut on Kairo in Wano, but the cut of Jupiter pulling Emeth back is just insanity. So much force behind it with amazing smears. Drawing and animating creatures this well isn't new for Bahei, as we've seen before in series like Space Dandy. The sequence of Saturn running on Jupiter was also superb, very fast and terrifying, and Jupiter's form is drawn exceptionally here. The line work here also has some Ota Ohara-like feel with the squiggly lines. In the middle of such aggressive and intense art styles, Mori's cool, soft approach on the little flashback is just the most appropriate contrast. And the evil thing here is how cute and adorable everyone looked here. Man, I hope the pacing is as slow as possible during Saturn's final moment. It's the only time I desire slow pacing. The cut of Nazjuro slashing Atlas was also very impressive, especially the way Nazjuro's horse body stretches like that with an extreme pose. And the explosion itself is good. There's some good acting animation and brief action throughout the whole episode, like the giants resisting Saturn, or the character acting on them on the other giants. The episode is just too overwhelming to cover entirely. And now the man himself, Tu Young-sun. He pretty much combined everything that makes his work great. His brushwork is just too effective for finishing attacks, and he gave us the classic inky black and white, the Hisashi punch. This is the best punch on Saturn yet. The squiggly line work on Bonney's angry face is really good as well. The Saturn close-ups are some of the best I've seen yet, but his fast-paced action prior to the finisher is just filled with insanely energetic action animation. His smears and effects perfectly execute Shishido's dynamic action storyboard. In short, it was pure cinema. It seems that the team kept polishing this episode until the last minute, because there's some shots in the preview that were corrected, also some compositing adjustments, and a very cool touch is the new cut of Bonney and Luffy in the opening. Lastly, ending the episode on Kuma's smile is just perfect. Overall, I just never expected this chapter to turn to something this good. It was another level. It elevated the emotional impact, the visual side, the action, the drama. It made the episode truly feel like an arc climax. Because while I loved Egghead, it lacked this finality feel in the manga. Next episode looks good, but not crazy. It's an anticipated chapter, so I hope it's at least done well. If Joyboy Haki is adapted here, I expect Vincent Chan's art to animate it, because in my interview with him, he compared one of his upcoming scenes to Galaxy Impact, which is basically just background animation and effects. Overall, one of the best Egghead episodes. It's sad that we are nearing the break, but we are leaving with a bang. Tu Young-sun also confirmed that Elbaf is already in production, so I'm very excited to what they're cooking there as well. Like and subscribe. See you next time.